Just give me a second. And we are live. There we go. So my name is Terry Thompson. I am the host of Unbreakable Stories, along with my co-host here, Bonnie. We had just a little bit of technical issues tonight, but no worries. We have moved beyond the technical difficulties, and I hope at least. And so we are. I hope that this doesn't come in here. I'm going to tap on a couple of things because I just want to verify that, yes, we are on, we are live. And yep, so we're good to go. We are live over on YouTube. I see that we are live there. I'm just going to test out one real quick thing over here on Facebook just to make sure that we are live on Facebook. I believe that we are, but we are live over on Facebook. So awesome. All right. So my name is Terry Thompson. I am the host of Unbreakable Stories, along with my co-host here, Bonnie. And tonight we have a very interesting topic. We are going to talk about motivation versus inspiration, because there's a difference between the two. And the interesting thing is that I have a third opinion about it all. And we're gonna, so in honor of Will Smith, we're gonna scuba doof down into that tonight. So we're streaming Will Smith over on Clubhouse. And if I'm telling you, if you've never heard Will Smith, you've never heard that audio from Evan Carmichael's YouTube channel, it is an absolutely amazing stream. Will Smith is just one of those guys. He'll get you laughing out loud, but he's also really intelligent as well too. Very smart. And man, let's dive right on in. Bonnie, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm good. Tired, but good. I thought I was about to lose my voice there for a second. Just a frog. Yeah, it's been I'm happy it's Friday. Just because I need a little recuperation, a little bit of rest, and but it's a good tired, right? Like I accomplished a lot this week, a lot of new things. That'll actually quite a few new experiences and new things this week, and so that's the kind of tired you really want to feel is when you're getting things done and you feel accomplished and you're feeling good, and you have a reason for being tired. So.
I love it. And, one of our friends within Clubhouse always mentions about self-care, and it's always very important to take care of yourself. And that's Miss Shawana. So she always says, take care of yourself. Self-care is important. And sometimes you just have to kind of stop. You have to stop, slow down so that you can go fast. And when you slow down long enough to kind of reset your mind, reset your body, you really can get back after it again. And I know, like today, for example, I took a nap as well today, too. For about an hour, I laid down on my beanbag and, and I just kind of closed down. I just shut down. I'm like, man, there it is. And, and I know for you, it's a little challenging at times. But, man, how does that make you feel whenever you can just kind of slow down long enough to really just reset, recoup, refresh, clear your mind a little bit? How does that make you feel?
You know what? How it made me feel today was supported. So I don't usually nap. The last time, and we were talking about this a little bit in Clubhouse, and I said the last time I'd nap was like years and years and years ago, which is true. But I've also fallen asleep during periods of being like actually sick, which I feel like it doesn't count because it's kind of unintentional. But I just felt really supported today because you know how rambunctious my boys can get. And I was in a meeting when my 8-year-old came home. And he came up quietly and went and did what he had to do and didn't come banging into my office. And so we ate. My daughter and her boyfriend were here today, and we all actually ate together for the first time since Christmas because they were sick. And I started to get a headache, and I was like, I'm just going to sit on the couch for a little bit. And usually that turns into mommy's a trampoline or somebody wants to run. And mostly it's like I want to give you hugs. I want to snuggle, but somebody's climbing on top of me. Even my husband will get in there, like goofing around sometime with the boys. He'll I want to snuggle too. And he's not a small man. So I laid down. And both of my boys went upstairs, and my husband was talking on the phone to a friend of his, and I dozed off. And I really just don't get to do that as a mom, as just how my personality was in the past. I didn't let myself do those kinds of things. And so about 5:45, I felt tapping on my shoulder. It was my husband waking me up. And babe, what time is your thing? What time is your thing? And it was really cool because like I'm used to chasing people around going, it's 7 o'clock, you need to do this. It's 7:15, you need to do this. It's it's 6:45 in the morning. It's time to get ready for school. Whatever it is, I'm used to being that person. And so just to have somebody else looking out for me in that moment and having the boys just going and chilling and playing nicely together, it really gave me a good probably 25 minutes to sleep. And I just woke up feeling just really supported. I even dozed back off for a second. My husband came back and it was like, babe, you got to get up. I'm like, oh, it's like, I'm so tired. But it felt really good and I felt really supported. And it was a great feeling, especially for a Friday evening. So
I love it. And, and that kind of ties into our conversation just a little bit. When you feel supported, somebody's giving you a break or showing you some love, whatever label you want to put on that. How does that make you feel? So we're talking about motivation and versus inspiration tonight. Is that one of those things that makes you feel kind of motivated, inspiration? I know supported is a good word there, but does that fall into the category of being motivated and inspired whenever you feel supported?
I think it does because as we're going to talk about, motivation and inspiration are two different things. But being able to rest and relax and recoup helps you get out of that foggy, dragging space where it's really hard to feel motivated or inspired. And so you wake up with like a new, at least I did today, a new sense of energy. Like it almost felt like a new day because, I got to take that break and refresh. And I did. I was like, I'm ready to do, like, I probably sounded a little different on Clubhouse tonight because I was like, I'm ready to do this. Like it didn't feel like evening to me anymore. And I just felt really good. And inspiration is one of those things that makes you feel good, right? And helps you move towards what it is that you want to be doing. So
I love it. And and when you are rested, when you have that clear mind, and it's one of those things that you can take action. You feel energized. You have like a whole different level of energy when you do feel rested, when you feel refreshed, when your mind is clear, because we're working tremendously hard on a lot of different things, both you and I both. And it's one of those things to where sometimes we just need that little break. We just need that little moment of just silence so that we can have clarity in the actions that we are taking. And it's one of those things that, if anybody has watched or listened to our Clubhouse show, you will know that it takes a lot of energy to do the things that we do, to be aware of the conversations, because you have to be actively and intentionally listening to what's going on. And I'm telling you, I've been on Clubhouse shows where I'm not so motivated, I'm not so inspired. And we're going to dive into that a little bit. I've even been on other people's stages where it's one of those things to where they're not motivated, they're not even inspired. Welcome to the show. Tonight's guest, we're gonna popcorn style it over to Terry. Terry, what are your thoughts? Well, I'm pretty freaking bored there, guy. I'm telling you. So you got to get excited about what it is. You got to get motivated. You got to get inspired about the things that you are doing each and every day, because every day is an opportunity for you to do things. And, someone asked me one time, it's like, Terry, why are you so motivated? Why are you so inspired? And I always tell people, I'm like, I'm not. I'm not motivated all the time. I'm not inspired all the time. I'm committed. And there's a difference between the three: being motivated, being inspired, being committed. When you're committed, you will do whatever it takes to do the thing that you say that you're going to do. Because here's the thing: all day long, you can say, well, I can do that. Well, if you can, do it. Well, I shoulda, coulda, woulda done that. Well, why didn't you? It falls into that category. It's like, well, I wasn't motivated. Oh, I didn't have time. Oh, I wasn't inspired. I'm waiting for inspiration to hit me right, whatever the case may be. And, people are not always motivated. People are not always inspired. But if you waited for that, you might not ever take action. So that's the reason why you must get committed about the things that you're doing, because Bonnie, you're committed. You're 100% committed to doing the things that you're doing, that you're losing sleep. You're losing energy. I mean, there's a lot to unpack within that. So I want to turn it over to you just to kind of get your thoughts on motivation, inspiration, commitment, because you're super committed.
Thank you for that. It's a lot of self-awareness. And so looking back on this week, I took on some extra things that weren't planned in my schedule because I knew they were going to help advance what I'm trying to do much more quickly, or much quicker. And so I said yes to some things. I threw myself off there with that little
No, I was laughing at one of the comments.
Laughing at Shay. I saw Shay's comment over there. Hi, Shay. I actually opened comments on here. I realized that I could do that. Anyways, I completely just lost my train of thought.
Back on track, Bonnie. Back on track. Let's get back on track.
Thrown off by Shay. Laughing at Shay and laughing at you. Okay. Yes. So I added some things into my calendar. I said yes to some additional things this week because I knew they were opportunities that I needed to say yes to. Like they weren't things I was willing to turn down. And that did mean that I lost some sleep. But what it also meant was I got to do things this week that I definitely wouldn't have been able to do otherwise, at least not for a while. And it put me on track to set me up for some trainings that I wasn't eligible for otherwise, and that aren't offered. Like, they're offered on a regular basis, but there's like months in between. So I ended up qualifying for a new training this Saturday. I was super excited for that. But what it also did was help me look at the way I packed my schedule this week, and to be more cognizant of leaving some more gaps in between the appointments that I'm setting. Because I need to, I've said it a couple of times now, but a chair is going to be my first business expense because this thing is not cutting it. And so sitting here for so many hours when my body's not used to doing that, it's taking a toll. And I know some people are like, how does sitting take a toll? Well, it does when you're used to.
It's the worst thing for you ever. It really is.
It is. And I can feel it in like I woke up this morning and just like my everything hurts. I was like, my eyebrows hurt. Like I got to figure this out.
My teeth are sweating. I'm telling you, it hurts so bad. My teeth are sweating.
Seriously, I'm not even kidding you. I had like pain like in my eyebrows, like some kind of weird headache. And so that, and with the weather fluctuating and all these other things, I just realized that I need to adjust my schedule to allow myself more than 5 minutes in between appointments. Like, that's not cutting it for me. And that's okay. And I have to be okay with that. The way I do this is going to look a little bit different than a lot of the other people that are doing this, because they're running their bodies 24/7, or they're doing these things 24. My body is like, no, we're not doing that. So the commitment part also helps me be motivated to make changes. And the inspiration helps me make those changes in a way that's for my highest good, and for the highest good of those around me. Because when I don't get enough sleep and I'm cranky, I'm rude, and I'm just going to be honest. Like, my tolerance for stuff, and you and I had a conversation about this earlier this week, my tolerance for things goes out the window, and I tend to snap at people, and that's not how I want to live my life. That's not how I want to treat people. So yeah, it's all kind of tied in together for me. But I use each of those in a different way.
I've been there. And the thing is that, somebody says, why are you so, I've even been told that I'm aggressive as well too. And, it's kind of one of those things that I found that kind of entertaining. It's like, why are you so aggressive? I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? It's like, yeah, you're super highly aggressive. And I know that everybody has a different opinion, a different perspective. I'm like, dude, I'm motivated. I'm inspired. I'm like ready to rock, ready to take some action. It's kind of, I'm ready to bam a lamp, kind of one of those things. And, it's one of those things that, I'm not always motivated. I'm not always inspired, but those moments that I truly am, believe me, I can be a full force to deal with. And
Oh, no.
what can often be confused for motivation, inspiration, aggression, one of those things, it can be often confused. So, when you're motivated, otherwise angry, whatever the case may be, you know, how do you shape that? Like when someone motivates you in such a way that causes you to be kind of aggressive, so to speak?
Normally, I'm able to now. Now, 4 years ago, it would have been a completely different answer because I was having some issues, and I talk about that, and I've talked about that in multiple interviews. What being on different medications kind of did to me and the way I behaved, it was just not acceptable. And I was very much angry a lot of the time. Now, normally, I'm able to take a step back and pull myself out of the situation, kind of look at what it is that the other person's going through, and really able to separate now. Not all the time. I'm not perfect by any means. Most of the time, I'm able to say the way somebody's behaving is about them. It's not about me. Unless I'm being an aggressor, like then I have a part in that and I have to own up to that. Like the other day I snapped at somebody and I was like immediately had to apologize and I had to remove myself from the situation. I was like, because I don't have the capacity right now to deal with this in a polite manner. So I'm gonna remove myself and I will deal with it later.
Right.
And so yeah, I normally I'm able to take a step back and kind of take a deep breath, hear the person out. I mean, you and I have experienced this when either one of us has been hyped up about a situation or something's happened, and I'm like, okay, do you really want to hear what I think?
Well,
Like,
yes, I do.
because I also don't sugarcoat and I don't BS people, but sometimes people just need to vent and they don't want advice.
Right.
Sometimes they don't want to hear what it is you think about a certain situation, and that's okay too.
Mhm.
So yeah, normally I'm able to do that. Yesterday, not so much. I had to actually purposely not respond to certain people because I was feeling, and I don't want to use the word triggered, but I kind of was like what they were saying was triggering
Mhm.
something in me.
No, I can relate to that.
And in a text, you cannot read tone, but in my mind, in the mood I was in, this person was being snotty, and I
Mhm.
was like, I'm gonna not even answer you. I'm gonna wait till tomorrow.
Don't you text me in that tone.
Yeah, like until I can think about this a little more rationally and my brain is functioning again. And yeah, so that's kind of how I handle it most
So
of the
so here's kind of the definition of leadership. So growing up with a military background myself, the definition of leadership was accomplishment of the mission through the efforts of others while providing purpose, motivation, and direction. So as a leader, oftentimes we believe that we're providing purpose, motivation, and direction, but sometimes you can kind of push that just a little bit too far. And I believe that both of us have experienced some of those situations to where it's like, okay, they're a tough guy. I know you're trying to provide purpose, motivation, and direction, but man, you are pushing just a little too much. How do you handle a situation like that to where, okay, you're a junior leader, you have a senior leader that's trying to provide purpose, motivation, and direction. You don't really agree with it, but yet you have to be respectful. You have to understand that what is required sometimes is a whole different ball game, but there's a different perspective. Let's unpack that right there, because I feel that we can offer some advice on leadership providing purpose, motivation, and direction in unique ways that does not always resonate well with us.
So my honest opinion, I think unfortunately a lot of us who are in our 40s, 50s, and 60s, and maybe even older, were motivated by somebody yelling at us
Mm.
because people had the idea that the loudest person wins, right? And if you can yell the loudest, you can get somebody off their butt and moving. And what I think people didn't recognize, or maybe they didn't care, is that was motivation through fear, right? That wasn't motivation, like you said, through any good means. And that conditions a person. And over time, that wears on you. And unfortunately, a lot of people grow up and they just kind of repeat the pattern. I have never been in the military. My only real experience with the military is movies where they do a lot of yelling. So I'm not. I can't say
We're
I
not
have.
yelling. We're merely talking loud enough so that everybody can hear us properly.
Yes, that. I like I said, I don't have any personal experience with that. I've heard stories.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm gonna be honest. I think at first it would be kind of startling, and and if it continued, it would be really hard for me not to uh, revert back to like old school mode. That's the only nice way I can think of putting it. I grew up in a pretty rough neighborhood, and there's a part of me still in there somewhere that, sometimes I call it mama bear mode. I had a situation with my daughter a long time ago where somebody was doing something they weren't supposed to, and I snapped into mama bear mode. And I remember this kid, I thought your mom was nice. And I'm like, I am, when you're treating my daughter the way you should be treating, the way she should be treated. But this doesn't fly in my house. Get out. So, and that's a very mild version of what actually happened. But maybe not the right way to handle that. I felt like it was warranted at the time. But it's not that's not my typical MO either,
No. So Zan commented Full Metal Jacket. That's one of my favorite movies of all time, right there. And I actually met R. Lee Ermey, the guy that played the drill sergeant, the gunnery sergeant, in that movie. So I actually met him, got to talk with him, hung out with him for a week in Afghanistan. So he was over there with his film crew, and he was filming Mail Call. So that was a TV show that he did a while back. Called Mail Call. So he was over in Afghanistan meeting the troops, talking to the troops. And, and I got to hang out with him. I got a couple of pictures with him, got an autograph and everything. And, and it's one of those things that was the reason why I made the comment. I was like, I'm not yelling at you. I'm merely talking loud enough so that everybody can hear me. Because the thing is that your mistake is an example for others not to do. And I'm letting everyone know through your mistake, they should not do this. So I need to talk loud enough to where everybody, no, I'm not going to get super loud. But the thing is that there are people that have been around me that know that my voice gets so loud that it will pierce your soul. And, when you've had to motivate 1,000 people standing in front of you, you have to be able to project your voice in such a way that will get that sucker's attention back there in the back, because you need to be able to inspire that person to be able to do something. So even though right there face to face, I felt bad for those people, but those guys in the back that could still hear me, it's one of those things that I need to be able to motivate that guy back there in the back. I need to be able to inspire that guy back there in the back. I need to be able to, as we say within Unbreakable Stories, motivate, inspire, encourage, and empower others, because I think that there's a lot within that as well too. We're not always motivated, we're not always inspired, but when do we ever get encouraged to do things? Because there's not a lot of encouragement that's out there within the world, because there's some people that want to see other people fail, and they will do whatever it takes to see them fail. We had a really good example of that on one of our friends' show a couple of weeks ago of, during a live stream, and then somebody came on and wanted to see that us fail. So they made an example. We learned from that and then moved on. But it doesn't take much to encourage someone. It really doesn't.
Again, that goes back to parenting, in my opinion, because as soon as you said that, I was thinking about the difference. There's a huge gap between my older two and my younger two kids, and I've made my fair share of mistakes with both groups of them. Mm-hmm. But I learned as my older kids were starting to get older, better ways to encourage them to do things, get them interested in doing things, and moving away from the because I said so, because I told you to, because I'm the mom, because whatever lame answer I was giving them, and a lot of that had to do with my oldest, and I'm not going to go super into detail with that, but he had a real need to understand things in a different way than other people. And so I got really good at, um, I had to get really good at for for his development, explaining and encouraging versus just saying because I said so. And I've noticed a huge difference too in the way my younger kids volunteer to do things versus having to be forced to do things all the time. There's still some stuff they don't want to do. I mean, they're kids. No, I don't know any kid that's super extra happy to clean up once they're like over the age of 4.
Yeah.
Like,
They were voluntold.
but like, yeah, pretty much. But these guys, just even in the past week, have stepped up more and more and volunteering to do things. But I also give them a lot of praise, like when they do that. Like, thank you so much. That's super kind and thoughtful of you. Yes, that would be super helpful. And those things are all true. Like, I'm not blowing smoke up their butts. Like, that it is helpful. I am grateful that you're trying to be helpful. You know, all these different things. But all of that to say, I grew up very much and I told you so, or because I said so, or just a look kind of household where you didn't ask questions. And there was a lot of stuff I didn't understand because of that growing up. Like, and I don't mean like I needed to understand my parents' motivation for everything. There were some fundamental things when I got to be an adult that I just did not understand because I was too afraid to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something I made sure with my kids that I was really fostering, even though it can get a little overwhelming sometimes because they'll try to use it to their advantage, like in a like a stalling tactic or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, their questions are fairly genuine.
I love it. You know, kids can definitely motivate, inspire, encourage you, and you know, and they can also empower you in different ways as well too. It's, you know, it's awesome. So let's kind of unpack empower, because I really believe that, you know, with the, and it kind of falls hand in hand with my 5 rights, which be at the right place at the right time with the right information, right resources, right attitude, and right action. And I believe that when you adhere to the 5 rights, you will never be wrong. And it's one of those things that when you have everything in place, you can feel empowered. You truly can feel empowered. And then when you are empowered, when you have everything right there at your disposal, everything is in its right place at the right time, and everything all right. And I believe we're back. Oh, am I muted? Muted. Am I muted? You're muted.
Yeah, I muted because I was gonna actually call you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but if I do cut out again like that, just take over the show.
Okay.
Just take over the show. It's a
I
lot
was
better
like,
to just start talking. Yet, no, my internet kind of cut out for just a quick second there.
yeah, I
So
wasn't sure if I was lost when you were lost, if it froze the whole thing or not. So
yeah.
now I know.
So just a quick question. In the upper left-hand corner, do you see the word live?
Yes.
If you see live, you're still live.
Well,
I'm just
that's
letting you
good
know.
to know.
Okay. So yeah, little StreamYard knowledge there. And yeah, so I always look for that. And then when it's done, it'll say ended. And I always look for that as well too, to make sure, is it ended before I start plowing into, like, you know, saying something that I shouldn't say on a live stream. But it's one of those things. So yeah, so it's one of those things that whenever you have everything together, you can be encouraged to take appropriate action. because you have the right attitude. You know, it's one of those things that if you don't have it all together and you feel like you either have to do something or you know you're being told to do something, you might have kind of a bad attitude. So how does attitude play into motivation and inspiration?
Oh boy. That's like a whole nother episode all in of itself. A lot. A lot. Attitude, and attitude of gratitude. I know it sounds cliche, but it's 100% true. It's like 1,000,000% true. Changing your attitude has a lot to do with shifting your perspective. And I learned most of that from my mentor and friend David Meltzer. And being able to have a good attitude. So here's a prime example. He teaches, and I actually use this myself, is changing the word have to, the phrase I have to I get to. And he talks about that in relation to taking out the trash and how he changed the energy of taking out the trash. And he's got this amazing story about that. And so after hearing that, I started to apply that to my life. Again, not perfect consistency here. It's something I'm glad we're talking about because I need to re-implement it in my life. And it really does shift your attitude when you're walking around, changing the wording of things and saying, you know, I get to take these appointments. I get to make these calls. I get to prospect. Because it sounds like exciting. Like I get to go on vacation. Well, I get to make phone calls. Like carries that same energy. And it takes practice because at first you're like just forcing yourself to say it. And I'm just, again, being honest, like, oh, I get to take out the trash. Okay, how can I find David talks about the light, the love, and the lessons, also part of inspiration, and taking out the trash. And I'm like,
take out the garbage and the trash, or you don't get no spending cash.
Yeah, right? But it was like, I got 3 minutes of peace and quiet because nobody followed me to take out the trash. So, like, I got to kind of just think for a little bit. And,
oh, my goodness.
And it's done, you know? So, and then it kind of unwinds into, I feel lucky that we actually have trash to take out. That means we have money to buy things like food and stuff that we need and, you know, whatever else. Because if we didn't, we wouldn't have trash to take out. And I kind of unwind that and go backwards. And it really helps me shift my perspective and my attitude. But it definitely plays a huge role, in my opinion. For sure.
I love it. You know, and it's one of those things that when you get told to do something, or voluntold, as I like to say, you know, it's one of those things that you can be defeated before you even get started. And it's one of those things that, you know, it's one of those things that with the wrong attitude, you'll be defeated before you even get started.
Yes.
Completely. You will be defeated. So like, for example, if I told you to do something, right, and you didn't want to do it, you'd be like, oh man, why do I have to do this? Because I told you so. That's why. Well, here's the thing. That no longer works these days. That no longer works these days. You can say that because I told you so, because that's how you and I grew up. You and I grew up with parents that said, because I told you so.
Yeah, I think I maybe heard that 3 times my whole life, and then I just stopped saying why because I was like, I already knew what was coming.
But why, Mom? Why, Mom? Look, Mom, why? It's important to me, Mom, that I know why.
Yeah, I used to get, as my dad he was a very like non-emotional guy. I'd see him angry every once in a while. He didn't get sad. He didn't get super happy. He was just kind of like, you know, the Emoji Movie. Gotta be meh. That was like my dad. I love my dad dearly. He's passed on. I gotta be meh. It was just like one emotion. And but he had this way of just turning his head ever so slowly and like looking at you and just like but no, and you knew that you just stopped talking. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my dad also grew up during the Depression and had a very different life than most of us. But yeah,
yeah, you know, and here's the thing: when the more you know, the more empowered you are. And that's the thing. So that's the reason why, as leaders, a lot of people need to understand that sometimes you need to put your attitude to the side as well too, and understand that providing that purpose, motivation, and direction, sometimes it comes with a why. Sometimes you must answer that why, because an empowered person will take appropriate action, will be motivated to get behind the mission or the task or the goal, and they will want to take action. They will want to achieve that thing. And I truly believe that sometimes when you might not have time to answer why, and sometimes because I told you so might be the answer, but I'm going to tell you that person's going to have an attitude towards doing that thing because they're not going to have any buy-in on that. And when you give that a reason why, you give them a positive attitude towards the things, because then they'll buy in. Then they feel empowered, they feel encouraged, they feel motivated, they feel inspired, all of those things. And they have the right attitude and they want to do those things and they want to achieve success. And when you have someone on your team that wants to achieve success and will do whatever it takes to achieve success, that's empowerment right there.
Yeah. And I think it all depends on the situation too, right? So I had a call with one of people in my upline this week. And I didn't expect the conversation to go the way it went, and not in a bad way, but I didn't expect to be doing, to be working on stuff with this person later on in the call. So I was prepared, luckily, but I wasn't prepared at the same time. But when somebody says, "Are you coachable?" and you say yes, and then they start giving you bam, bam, bam things you need to do, you don't like, I knew why. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have to ask why. Like, I didn't understand fully why I was doing some of this stuff, but I knew that I trusted this person. I asked them for advice. I told them I was coachable. It wasn't like it was anything against like my, moral code or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, I'm not, I kind of understand this. I'm not sure, but I'm going to do what this person just told me to do because they're successful and I want the same success that they have,
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like it's a lot different when you're in a, like an employee-employer relationship versus a partnership, or if you're, I don't know, independent contractor or something, and you're being told to do specific things. I feel like there are definitely way better ways to approach telling somebody that something needs to be done, in order for them to actually want to complete whatever the task is. If there's no external motivation other than you telling them to do it.
I love it.
So.
And that's the power of rewards as well too. So whenever somebody does take an action, and that's one of the things that leaders often forget, and that's motivating as well too. That's inspirational and makes there's two sides to this coin. I'm going to go unpack both of them. So number one, rewards, celebrating victories, giving somebody acknowledgement, public recognition, if you will, for the thing that they did and the thing that they accomplished. Once again, it sets them apart from their peers, and it it lets everybody know, hey, if you do this, this is what you will get. Now, here's the problem with that. The problem with that is that if you reward someone and then you don't reward someone and then you reward someone, and then don't reward them again the next time, it causes a little bit of confusion. And the thing is that if people do things simply for the reward, then they have kind of the wrong game plan on trying. That's definitely an environment that you do not want to create. Now, don't get me wrong. I enjoy recognition. I enjoy receiving rewards and this, that, and the other. But I've seen it in such a way to where it actually has a negative impact on the team, the mission, the thought process, the mindset, the attitude. It's like, well, why does so-and-so have 6 of those awards and I have 0? Kind of a thing. Or why does so-and-so get time off and I get no time off? Why does so then it creates this snowball effect of why. So I think celebration is important. I think that public recognition is important, and it can motivate, inspire, encourage, and empower people to take action. But it can also cause conflict as well too. What are your thoughts?
So again, going back to how people have been brought up, I played soccer for, I don't know, 13, 15 years and then coached soccer later. And the way things were when I was little, you got a trophy like if you won. Like legit won. There were no participation awards. Like there was second and third place maybe, or honorable mention or whatever. Like you go to the science fair and they'd have first, second, third, and honorable mention. You know, like, but you were motivated to work for what, to earn what it is that you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a limited number of those things. Now, unfortunately, I feel like we've taken this weird turn where we're congratulating people. I don't want to say just
It
for
loses
showing
its
up.
effect. It loses its effect.
Yes, it does. Because and not to mention the fact that when you've got to buy trophies for like 400 little kids instead of 40, it gets expensive too. But like, there's no motivation for the kids to try harder because they know that I'm not gonna say no motivation. Like, there's still that knowledge of first, second, third place. There's still that competitive thing with a lot of them. But it does lose, like you said, it loses, um, uh, what did you call it? I'm sorry.
It loses its effect.
Thank you.
More importantly, it loses its impact.
Yes. Thank you. It
does.
does.
And its meaning.
Yeah. If everybody's getting one, then why are these ones special? They're a different color. And so, yeah, I think recognition, celebration, and encouragement are all really, really important. But I think what we have to be mindful of is, especially as parents, that's really super important, especially in their developmental years, is to give them lots of encouragement and celebrate the small wins and everything. But to separate a win from what is now kind of expected of you. And I've got a weird take on this, I guess. Maybe there's people that agree with me, but they've got preschool graduations and kindergarten graduations and fifth grade graduations and eighth grade. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, I'm
on a Monday graduation.
Like, I get hitting specific milestones and celebrating, and that's exciting and everything. But again, it starts to lose its meaning. Like, graduation should be a celebration, excitement, like you're going out into the world. But at the same time, it's like, you did what you were supposed to do. You passed your, did your stuff and got through school. Are you surprised? Like, I don't know. I'm very torn.
That's a great point. No, I'm glad you said that.
It is like, again, I encourage my kids, especially when they're struggling, you encourage them to help them get through that and to want to keep trying and whatnot. And there's definitely persistence. And I know there's a lot of people that struggle through high school. My oldest was one of them, not for academics, but for other reasons. And so getting him through was a celebration. But it wasn't a celebration as in, I didn't think you could do this and you accomplished it kind of thing. It was a celebration because we were both done with a bunch of nonsense and BS that we didn't have to deal with anymore. So just being totally honest. And so I don't know. This is a conversation we could definitely unpack another time.
That's a great topic. We are definitely going to have to save that and I'm telling you why, because there are so many different things to unpack with rewards and how to reward people, how not to reward people, causing confusion, chaos, and this, that, and the other. And oh my goodness, that we're gonna have to table that one. So make sure we mark that down as another topic, is rewards and it's because I've seen different levels of that, within the military as well too. And it's one of those things. So here's what I'm glad that you said. The one thing that you hit on that I'm glad that you said, it's your job. the thing is that people feel like they deserve awards for doing their job. People feel like they get rewards for doing things. But here's the thing, and this is where it causes confusion. When you give awards for those different things, there's an expectation of, hey, if I do this each and every time, should I get an award? Should I get a bonus? Should I get a raise? Should I get a certificate of, congratulations or something along those lines? And once again, that's a whole different discussion right there. But oh my goodness, there's a lot with that. What are your thoughts?
I have a lot of them, but the bottom line for me is I feel like we should celebrate things when they're exceptional, when somebody's gone above and beyond, or somebody's done something that's out of the ordinary, or something. Because it does. What happens is, and trust, I'm actually still trying to get used to being celebrated. I've got somebody that was like celebrating me the other day, and I'm going, but I just sat here and listened. I don't feel like I did anything, so it was very awkward for me. But I'm trying to learn to accept that. So maybe that's just something I need to work on. But when you make everything special, nothing is special anymore. Mm-hmm. Like there's a reason things are special or exceptional. And so when everything is special, it's almost like nothing is special anymore. Like what's making that stand out? And
I love it. I love it. So we're going to bring up a couple of guests here. So we do have one of our friends waiting backstage here. Craig, I'm going to go ahead and bring him on very quickly here to join in on the conversation. So we're talking about motivation, inspiration, all these different things. So welcome to the show, Craig.
G'day, Bonnie. G'day, Terry. How are you? You good? Can you hear me?
I'm doing fantastic. Hey, thanks for joining us this time. I know last time, we had a bit of a timing issue or something along those lines, but always great to talk to you on Clubhouse. Great to see you here. And man, I know I had some technical issues last time when I got cut off way too soon in the after party. But man, what are your thoughts? Motivation, inspiration? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I love what Bonnie's sharing around, reward and, recognition. I think people do have this desire to, be acknowledged when they do things, but I think it's just human nature that, sometimes we want validation, but I think there's over validation too. So Terry, you'd probably appreciate the saying of, the US Marines, earned, not given. So for me, that's as a basketball coach. So as you know, I have a basketball program and a YouTube channel geared around helping athletes and teachers and coaches learn. And, I'm a huge believer that you've got to earn your stripes. You've got to earn things. I think there are too many trophies. I've been an operations manager of a basketball association here in Australia, and I used to play and I was very competitive. And when I saw the cost of the trophies, when I had to order them for the end of the season and, the $6-7 plastic trophy, I thought it was, tokenism and icon, that, and the concept of everyone gets a prize, people bang on about that. But I think it degrades the actual value that people get out of putting in effort, and effort should be rewarded. And when someone puts in a real great deal of effort to achieve something and someone else gets a similar, recognition, for putting in less work, then it just degrades the value for that individual who put in a great deal of effort. So I love what Bonnie said. And I think, we've got to have these conversations around that sort of stuff. So thanks for asking.
Thank you very much, by the way. And that's true. So even the guy that sat on the bench and did not play a single minute got a Super Bowl ring. Just saying, still got that. But the thing is that what does that make other people think? Does that make somebody else want to be motivated to continue to want to play? Does that make somebody else inspired to put forth the effort within practice? Because, I'll take you back. I was a college basketball player, by the way, 30 years ago. We went to the national tournament, and I'll never forget it. It was a great moment. And I was the only white guy on the team. Believe it or not, I was the only white kid on the basketball team. And I got picked on tremendously for being the only white kid on the team. And it was one of those things that, it meant a lot to me. I love those guys. I'm still in contact with a couple of them today. after 30 years. But my goodness, they did not hold back. They let me have it in practice. And you know what? I let them have it in practice too. And it was that commitment that was rewarded. It was that effort that was rewarded. Now, we had a winning season. We didn't win the national tournament, but just the idea of being there, I felt like I belonged there because we worked tremendously hard for that. There was definitely no lack of effort. But here's the thing that I found interesting. During practice, there was moments there where not everybody put forth their best effort. There's those moments there where you didn't feel motivated. You didn't feel inspired. Man, I don't want to be here. My girlfriend's nagging me, and, my parents are getting on to me, and this, that, and the other. So as a coach, how do you motivate and inspire someone that has extended circumstances going on where you need to get them focused on what's going on right here, right now? How do you do that?
Well, you're talking about a team environment. So if we're talking about individual accolades before, I would say that everyone doesn't get a prize. But in your situation, definitely, if you're part of a team process, you're even if you're a small part of the process that helps the team succeed and the team get recognized, then I'm all for that, 12th man on the bench who never got a game because he was at training, he was turning up. And often my experience is it's those guys that are actually pushing the other players to hold their positions on the team, and that their turn will come. And I've been that guy on the back end of a bench, and I've again played, so got to be a starter in a team and be a key part of a team. So, but it's a journey, and I think people forget that. They forget the process, and I think that's really important. But in regards to motivation, I think from a coaching perspective and also from a teammate perspective, you have to understand that people are going to have their down days. They're going to have those moments where they don't want to be there. And I do think you can accommodate that because there's sometimes we just don't want to show up for work. It becomes a problem when it's persistent over a long period of time. Then there's some other questions that you need to ask. But from a motivation perspective, for me, it's really understanding individuals and what motivates them. Because if you understand what motivates the individual, then as a group, you can work together to understand how that dynamic actually works. So we use what we call the DISC model here. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but looking at different types of behaviors and the default behaviors people go to when they're under stress. So dominant, influential, conscientious and steady behavior types. And they're not personality types, they're actually behaviors that we change our behavior. So for me as a coach, I try and understand what my athletes, how you motivate them. Now, a steady personality type, or not personality, but behavior type, one would say is someone who's going to do what the group does. They sort of don't rock the boat. They're a fence sitter. They don't like conflict. And they're one of the ones that are hardest to motivate sometimes. So that they get motivated when the team make a decision. You don't ask them to make a decision, but if the team all say, yeah, we're going to do this, then they'll be along for the ride and guys will push them. So I think it's just understanding behaviors and understanding that when people are having tough days, that you've got to understand that not everyone's going to be at their peak performance every day. We have, performance gaps and capability gaps, those gaps where we don't do what we're capable of. So, and particularly on days when we have bad days. I interviewed Kevin Eastman just to wrap this up, and he spoke about, people have that leak. So we have days when we leak. We don't have those best days, and we sometimes, leak energy and just don't bring everything. So we got to sort of stop those days. So yeah, it's a great topic of conversation. I could talk for a long time about.
No, I love it. And it can absolutely have a negative, profound effect on others, especially when you have that one person that's not necessarily, motivated or inspired to be there, and they're just putting forth, half effort or quarter effort or whatever the case may be. I remember our coach when I was in high school. Oh my goodness, my high school coach was brutal. Well, we was ranked third in the state. Our record, we finished the season 27-4. Okay, we were kicking the crap out of people. I'm talking about we was averaging beating people by 50 points a game. I'll give you an example. We beat a team 109-27. That's how bad we were kicking the crap out of people in my high school team. But in practice, everything was right there within practice. And that's what got us motivated to go play some of those tough teams. That's what got us inspired to go play those tough teams, because we knew we put forth the effort. We knew we were ready. And the thing is that we were timed. Everything was timed. All of our drills. You got 19 seconds to do this suicide drill right here, or this back and forth, or whatever it's called nowadays. And, you know, and I remember it was one of those things. It's like, and if you didn't meet the 19 seconds, you had to go again. And whether you was tired or not, it didn't matter. It built that mental toughness, that resilience, that ability to bounce back, that ability for the guys that actually made it on the side to cheer for you, to root for you, to make you and push you want to go harder, faster, stronger. And that's what ultimately built up that team, because nobody wanted to fail. Because if that one person was fail, otherwise commonly known as that weak link, that brought everybody else down. And that right there can really cause motivational issues, inspirational issues, because like, why are we always here? Because Terry is the weak link and he's slowing us down and he's doing this and he's doing that and he's slow and he's get his head out of his butt and this, that, and the other. So, man, I'm glad that you talked about that. I'm definitely glad that you mentioned that. Any additional thoughts before I bring up another friend?
I will have thoughts, but we'll continue the conversation, I think, Terry, because I'll go down that sport rabbit hole. That sounds like a conversation for another day, but feel free to bring someone else in. So, yeah.
I love it. So we do have Miss Mary here waiting. I'm not sure if the noise settled down a little bit there, because it didn't. Okay. So
it's Friday and everybody's just like, okay, let the party begin. I think I really commend the conversation today. It's a great conversation. Well, Unbreakable Stories team is always coming up with some very golden nuggets. The thing is, a reward or encouragement. I don't know what to say, but I would say celebrate. But when I say celebrate, it means recognizing your little wins, which will act as a motivation for you to continue doing what you're doing. But I don't know whether if you get the awards, it's like, is it going to go into your head like they say, or is it going to inspire you to do more? But the bottom line is, at some point, it's good to celebrate achievements. Whether it will act as a catalyst for more or as a deterrent to be lazy, that's another level of the argument. But this is a real great topic, motivation versus inspiration. Like when you have the inspiration, they always say that people might have inspiration, but it doesn't last long, because it's the process of being mentally pushed to do something at the moment. And then later the motivation dies. The inspiration dies, but when you are motivated, it's like a mission. You are on a mission. Unbreakable Stories is on a mission, and that's where you get your motivation.
Mm-hmm. I love it, Mary, and you're absolutely correct. You know, we are on a mission to share with the world unbreakable stories, because, you know, stories are powerful. The message that we're sharing is powerful. We always talk about how we can motivate, inspire, encourage, and empower others, and these conversations need to happen. These types of conversations need to happen so that we can change people's mindset. And when you change people's mindset, you change their life. And here's the deal: people are going to take action. They're going to take action and they're going to get that result, whatever that result may be. It could be big, small, positive, or negative, but in fact, they are results. And sometimes we get those negative results and that causes a conflict. It causes an issue, and people will quit. They'll give up because, well, I'm not motivated. I'm not inspired. I didn't achieve the result. And really those people quit on themselves. They gave up without fully understanding what was possible, because they didn't really believe that it was possible for them. Well, gosh, you know, you really didn't take enough action, because I'm here to tell you that I've achieved a degree of success within my life. I would like to believe that I have, but I take continuous action. Believe me when I tell you that every day I fail at something, I suck at something every single day. Like, today wasn't really a great day, but I achieved something. I accomplished something, and I rewarded myself for those things that I did accomplish. And oftentimes you can get discouraged to not even take action at all. And it's a matter of making this strong. That mindset must be strong. And when you tie rewards to it, when you tie certain things to it, even not allowing yourself to do certain things, like I am not going to allow myself to do this until I do that. You know what I'm saying? And that can get you motivated. It's like, man, I'm not going to do this because I have to do this. I must get this done. And you really have to have that discipline in order to do the right thing. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts
I
on
remember when you said when you know more, you are empowered.
Mm.
When you know more, you are empowered, and you don't do something because you will be rewarded or you will be given a certificate, but you do it now. It's a mission, and you know your end goal. So you're doing it because you want positive impact. You want intentional impact. So it's not like I'm doing it because I want to show somebody or something. So that's where it's different. It's really good to be aware of what you want. And when you are empowered, as they say, when you are empowered, you become more courageous because you know a lot of things and you know your focus, you know where you're going exactly. So it's really good to know what you want and what you're doing, empower yourself, and then you would, I think the motivation would continue because you have a reason for doing what you're doing every day.
Mhm.
And you don't need just some sporadic inspirational moments to act. It's a way of life.
I agree with you 100%. It's a way of life. And when you deeply ingrain those things within your life, I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of times I don't even think about the actions that I take sometimes because they're deeply ingrained. They're a part of my life. I don't even have to think about them. And it's that rote muscle memory that I do those actions. And whenever I do something that's outside of that muscle memory action, I'm not saying that I get confused, I get discouraged sometimes, but it's one of those things that, like, darn it, I'm going to do this no matter what. I don't really care what I have to do that. If I got to force that sucker in there, and that's a part of that aggressive conversation that I had earlier. Sometimes I get motivated to do something, I get inspired to do something. I don't achieve the results that I'm trying to achieve. I get discouraged, and then I start getting aggressive, and it's like, I'm going to do this. And then I start, taking more aggressive action as opposed to, a different action, for lack of a better way of saying that. And then that's where different things can happen. You can either implode or you can achieve success, because if you get aggressive and you lose that focus, you could take a different action that wasn't necessarily appropriate. And man, you might achieve a different result with that. Any thoughts?
I just wanted to add on to what I like what Mary was saying, and that's where I think the differentiation. And when you were talking about the Super Bowl ring and the guy sitting on the bench, and how Craig was saying he was part of the team and he helped build up the team in his own way, and getting to the Super Bowl itself is an accomplishment. So I think that that's one of those things that's kind of different. Like they get those for making it there, I guess is what I understand. Now, I'm not a sports guy, and everybody who is probably looking at me cringing right now. But the celebrating your small wins is because they're just that. They're wins. They're things like Craig was saying, like you earned those, you've made progress on something. And it's important to acknowledge that. I think what we were talking about earlier is, for me, is not undermining somebody's effort by rewarding everybody who just kind of showed up. And I think, and it's still hard for me to kind of differentiate, because I know what I'm trying to say, but it is about putting in that effort. and there could be somebody there that's just showing up. That is the best effort that they could put forth in that situation. You know, again, I just think in general, if we're constantly only doing things, only motivated for an end result, we're going to quit a lot of things if we don't get the result that we're looking for. And you really have to just start looking at whether or not you're inspired and enjoy the process. Are you motivated and maybe not so much enjoying the process on some days, but overall enjoying the process. And I know it's become kind of a buzzword these days, but I think it really is important to find enjoyment in what you're doing, because that's part of the celebratory process. That's part of the feeling good process. We celebrate because we want to feel good. Like that's why we celebrate. So if you can find a way to feel good without needing external, like you said, validation or celebration or whatever the case is, you're overall going to have more success, because a happy person versus a really miserable person is just naturally kind of able to achieve more for lots of different reasons. Also, another conversation we can have another day. But happy people even get sick less often. Like there's all these different factors that go into that. So I hope that clarified. Maybe I just confused it even more, but I'm trying to kind of reconcile this in my brain right now, because everybody had such really great points about and perspectives about this topic.
Awesome. Hey, so we've been on for about an hour now. We are going to go ahead and get ready to close down this show. And I want to give everybody an opportunity here to share their final thoughts before we have the after party. So the after party gets even more fun. So I want to make sure that we have some good time for the after party here so that we can discuss things backstage after the live stream. And that's where the magic really happens, is when we can dive deeper into those conversations off camera. As well too. So once again, my name is Terry Thompson. I am the host of Unbreakable Stories, along with my amazing co-host here, Bonnie. We've had two great friends up here on stage. We had Craig and we had Mary on here, and they shared their valuable perspective. So here's kind of my take on motivation versus inspiration. I'm not always motivated. I'm not always inspired, but you know what? I'm committed. And when you show up every single day, you can show out. Show up, show out. Speak up, speak out. I always tell everybody this. And if you've heard me on Clubhouse, you've heard me say this multiple times. You got to show up so you can show out. You got to speak up so that you can speak out. And the thing is that it's what we say, what we do is not always going to resonate with everybody every single time. But we have to be committed. We have to be consistent within our messaging, because you know what? It's going to connect with the right person at the right time when they are ready to receive that message. And when they receive that message at the right time and they take an action and they get a result, I guarantee you, if it's a positive one, they will be motivated to continue taking a result. They will be inspired to take another result, encouraged and empowered to continue taking another result. But you know what? If you do not show up, you cannot show out. If you do not speak up, you cannot speak out. Here's my challenge to each and every one of you out there listening to the live stream and then watching the replay after this is done. Show up and show out. Speak up and speak out, because you know what? Somebody needs your voice. Somebody needs your example. Somebody out there is struggling and they need you. They need you. So speak up so that you can speak out. Stand up so you can stand out. Motivate, inspire, encourage, and empower somebody. All right, so I'm going to save Bonnie for last here. So I want to go ahead and turn things on over to Craig next. Craig, thank you very much for joining the show tonight, man. We always greatly appreciate your value. I always greatly appreciate listening to you on Clubhouse. I just want to say thank you for your commitment to being here. What are your final thoughts?
Thanks to both of you for the opportunity to speak and also be in those amazing rooms on Clubhouse. My thoughts come to something, and final thoughts to what Bonnie was talking about there is one of the things that I talk to coaches about is, and athletes, is the concept of what's important now. So, which is win. So there are multiple wins, as Bonnie said, in what we do. So we might have an end game or a goal or whatever we set for ourselves, but ultimately there's a whole heap of little wins along the way. And it's interesting when I ask coaches or athletes as a part of coaching education that I do, I ask them, why do you play sport or why do you coach sport? And we list every reason they would or do. And the interesting thing is 9 times out of 10, the one thing that's actually missing is actually win. Most people don't actually play sport, for example, to win. They play it because there's so many other benefits like socialization, teaching others, learning. Like you could list a million things we do. We often get like fun, so the scoreboard, and in fact, Brandon Steiner interviewed, he said, focus on the game, not the score. Focus on the game, not the score. So we're talking about process. So that means is whatever you do, sport or not, business, your everyday life, focus on the things that you need to do now to get where you want to be tomorrow, which comes back to what, Terry's just said. So what's important now? Focus on that to get to your goal and you'll win all the way. And if you achieve your goal, even greater. And if you receive other recognition other than the recognition you give yourself for your achievement, then that's good too. But I don't think, and I don't believe anyone who is probably self-motivated actually needs those trophies and rewards, to be quite honest, because I think the reward for them is actually in doing what's important now and following a process.
I love it, Greg. Thank you very much for joining the show tonight. Thank you very much for delivering value. Mary, over to you. What are your final thoughts?
Yeah, that was really powerful. Greg?
Craig.
Okay, that was really powerful. You focus on what's important now, and you focus on the game and not the score. That was like ding, ding. I think it's really important to focus on the game. And it's normal that sometimes we don't get the results that we want. We are discouraged or one or two things. But when we have clarity of the end goal, that's where the motivation comes. And that's what keeps us going. And that's what keeps us consistent, because we are on a mission. And now it's a lifestyle.
I love it. Mary, thank you very much for joining. Thank you for being a valuable part of our community. Thank you for always sharing your thoughts and your wisdom. All right. So before we close down this live stream here tonight, I want to make sure that we give Zan an opportunity. So he did kind of pop in a little bit late, but I would be remiss if I didn't, bring him up and share some value. So Zan, very quickly here, because we are about ready to end the stream. What are your thoughts about motivation versus inspiration?
First of all, you guys are so amazing. What a smart, intelligent panel. I mean, Terry, come on, Bonnie, Mary, and Craig. I mean, I love that you mentioned the DISC model earlier: dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. I think that is such a great model when it comes to a team and bringing everybody together. But in regards to motivation and inspiration, I separate those. I think they're connected. There's the internal and the external, the inner and the outer. I look at motivation as more physical, more action-oriented, more the outer, and inspiration is more the inner. And I think inspiration is more powerful than motivation. Motivation a lot of times based on circumstances. Inspiration is based on your vision, your dreams, your desire. Inspiration comes from the word inspire. And inspire means like to breathe life into, to breathe into. And I think inspiration has more of a spiritual quality. So I think that's more powerful than motivation. But you need both. we live in a world of dualities, up and down, hot and cold, in and out, good and bad. So you need both. And when you are incongruent, I think that's when you succeed. Because if you're not incongruent, we call that in psychology cognitive dissonance. So when you're kind of conflicted. So you need both. And I think they both work together. So you've got to master both of those. Mm-hmm. And there's different techniques and strategies on acquiring more inspiration and more motivation, but we don't have time to go through all that now. But there's so many different ways of enhancing that and increasing that and strengthening that.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I love it. Zan, thank you very much for being a valuable part of our show. And I know that you run your show. So share with the audience real quick, your live stream and your show and how people can get connected with you.
Man, you know, when you do it better than me, come on, you tell them. You was on there yesterday. Let Terry tell you, you know. Well, I will say this part, and I'll let you pick it up, Terry. We used to do it every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I believe in going live. We was doing it every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from back in September 2021 all the way through December. And with the new year upon us, and I've got new, you know, other places I have to be at. I'm only doing it now on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific. But I have the business show on Wednesday at 12 o'clock noon right now. But Terry, you can do it better than me, man. You got that voice, Terry. Come on, man. Let's go.
No, you did an absolutely fantastic job, and you know, and I really enjoyed the last conversation that we had, and every week you always unpack some absolutely powerful messages that people must hear, and like I was saying earlier, it's these messages that we must unpack so that others can have that knowledge, they can have that experience. So that's one of those things that, you know, that's the power of these live streams. That's the power of these shows. We often, you know, cannot control what happens during a live stream sometimes. And believe me, we've had some things happen, technical difficulties. We've had, you know, people getting in the chat and this, that, and the other. But man, you know, Zan last week, he talked about the Success Quadrant. And it's one of those things that if you want to achieve success, you must surround yourself by absolutely amazing people, by powerful people, just like us right here. You know, we all have a different perspective, and that's the one thing that really separates us and makes us unique within the things that we're doing. So we all have knowledge, we all have skills, but the one thing that really separates us is that experience, and we all share those experiences. Now, whether you're right or whether you're wrong, you're right. You're right from your perspective, from your experience. And that's the power of these things. So there's really no right or wrong. Sometimes good conversation can turn in, you know, to different conversation and this, that, and the other, but it's all a matter of perspective. It's all, and sometimes, you know, and that's the reason why these conversations are so powerful, because then you get to understand things from a different perspective. So like when we talk to Craig, for example, and we talk about the team dynamics and how practice and team and, you know, wanting to win and wanting to succeed can tie into the things that you can do within life. Believe me when I tell you that will build leadership skills, that will build life skills, that will build those things that you need that will carry you within the future. You know, when Zan talks about different things on his channel, he has so many processes and procedures and models and this, that, and the other. It will resonate with somebody. And the thing is that you must put a message in its simplest form in order for it to resonate with the right person, because oftentimes if a confused mind will always say no. And when you have clarity, you will have understanding on what is appropriate action that you can take. And that's what we love about Zan's show. So if you want to get connected with Zan, once again, over on his channel, Zan the Man, the Certified Confidence Coach, you can get some absolutely amazing content over there. So if you do want to learn how to get more confidence within your life, get more confidence within your business, head on over to Zan the Man Show. He will change your life.
Let's go. And can I add one more quick thing, Terry? You always say something that sparks something in me, because it's just you say little nuggets, and sometimes you move right past it. Like, hold up, pause right there. But you say so many wonderful things, and you just mentioned something about whether you believe you're right or wrong, and that reminded me of what Henry Ford said. He said that what do you think you can or think you can't? What? You're right. And so he was, and basically he's emphasizing how much attitude determines success or failure. And that's why it's so important to get around wonderful people like this here, because they're going to help straighten you out and give you more clarity so you can have more success. So yeah, thank you for that, Terry. Amazing.
I love it, Zan. Thank you very much for being here. All right. And without further ado, let's go ahead and turn it on over to the absolutely amazing Miss Bonnie. She is not only the creator of the Unbreakable t-shirt that we see right here, she is also the creator of the I Am Unbreakable campaign. So she created that wonderful design right there to where you can show the world that you are unbreakable. She created the Unbreakable t-shirt. That's right, Zan. Thank you very much. And she is also the mastermind behind the My Unbreakable Story campaign. When her and I teamed up, I'm telling you, we are on a mission. We are going to change lives worldwide. So let's turn it over. Here's some final thoughts. Miss Bonnie, take it away.
Bonnie. My goodness. Thank you. Wow. So one thought was, literally right before you popped in here, Zan, and Craig was talking about the win dynamic. I was like, I know Zan's over there cheering or jumping up or down or something. I saw you in the audience. I was like, he's gonna be excited to hear that. So that was really cool. And wow. And I'm also really glad I'm tired today. And I'm really glad that when Terry and I talked about the topic we were going to talk about, and this came up, I instantly was thinking about the spiritual component of inspiration. And for whatever reason, you were just meant to share that message tonight, because when we got on here, my brain has been glitching for like the past hour and a half. It just isn't like fully connecting, and I'm like forgetting things mid-sentence. So I definitely need to get sleep tonight. So I'm just really glad that grateful that you showed up, glad that you showed up, and grateful you showed up to share that message, because that is very true. Inspiration really does mean in spirit, inspired. It comes from within, and motivation typically, like you said, comes from outside circumstances, something that's influencing us. Fear can be a motivator, but that's something outside of us causing us to feel fearful most of the time. So I just wanted to share that, and I'm so grateful for all of the messages and stories that and examples. Examples are really, really important when we're talking about these things, because like Terry was saying, and Dan, things are going to resonate differently. So Craig, you've got some awesome basketball and team stories, and that's going to resonate with one audience. And Mary has her experience, it comes with her wisdom, and that's going to resonate with another group. And Zan, so everybody's got their individual ways of looking and perspective. And even if we share a perspective, we've had a different experience, which allows us to share it in a different way and reach different people. So I'm just really, really grateful for all of you and helping hold me up tonight when I'm not exactly doing my best, and just for showing up. So thank you so much. And everybody in the audience. I want to say hi. Everybody, I saw LA in there, and I saw Maria, I think, earlier in the chat. So hello.
I love it, Bonnie. Thank you very much. Craig, thank you very much. Mary, thank you very much. Zan, thank you very much for joining us. All right, so when you talk about fear, I just want to close talking about fear. That's that first emotion activating resistance. That's the reason why I pop that up on the screen, because, you know, the thing is that we're oftentimes we're not motivated, we're not inspired, we're committed. But the one thing that holds us back is fear. And fear is that first emotion activating resistance. And I'm telling you, it will literally hold you back from taking any type of action. It will make you want to quit. It will make you want to give up. Fear is one of those things that you must overcome. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to overcome fear, the first thing that you must do is believe. Second, take action. When you believe that you can do something and you take action, understand this, you are going to get results. Whether those results are big, small, positive, or negative, keep in mind that they are, in fact, results. It's not your job to get tied around the results, because results may vary. But the one thing that you can take ownership is you. Believe in you. Believe in yourself. Believe in your action. See, I'm more motivated and inspired by the action that I take every single day versus the results that I achieve every day. Because you know what? Action will separate you from the rest of the pack, because results may vary. My name is Terry Thompson. I am the host of Unbreakable Stories, along with my co-host here, Bonnie, and our amazing friends, Craig, Zan, Mary. Thank you for joining us. Thank you very much for listening. We're going to go ahead and shut this stream down, but don't worry, there's an after party coming up. So you know what? If you want to join us next time and you want to join the after party, you want to join the conversation, make sure you smash that subscribe button, get connected to us here on YouTube. Make sure that you join when we get the link. Share your thoughts, share your ideas, share your tips, tools, techniques, and resources, whatever they may be. Share your life, share your business, share your voice. Once again, thank you very much for listening. We will see you in the next episode.